Okay, so the wing has now been glued in. What you need to make sure is that your two end wings move independently of each other and nice and free. So now that they're in, I need to connect the servos to the wings so that they can connect it. Okay, I'll show you how I've done that. I've basically made a connection with a piece of wire that will connect onto the servo rod. Okay, and that, when it's in place, will control the tilting of the wing. Okay, so that's that one on, yeah. That's now nice and tight, and that only moves with the servo. Okay, this one's free, so I'm going to show you how I did that. Basically, I've got some inner of a snake which has a hole in it. I've got 50 mils off. Okay, choose some thin wire that will slide into that and also fit onto your servo. So I'm going to take the servo arm off. Before you take the servo arm off, get a felt tip pen, mark up where the end is, mark it in both, so it's the wing up, and draw a line. Okay, from there, and then from there you want a centimetre, or roughly in the middle, wherever you want, but a centimetre is easiest to measure when you want to make the wire with a Z bend on it. Okay, so measure a centimetre, which is there. Okay, now then, I need to make it at 90 degrees. 90 degrees, I want it nice and snug in there. And you can just push that wire in because it's quite sharp, or you can use something like this, the drill bit in. Try and get this far in. So make that in roughly about 50 mil deep. So got that in. Wheel it about a little bit. Okay. Push it back in because that's going to be your guide. Okay. Now your snake that you used, push that over there, and because it's going to follow the wire, it'll be guided in. So push that in there, and that'll be squashed in there. Okay. Now we can pull the wire out again. Push that flat. If you've got a bit of extra over it, doesn't really matter, chop it off. Which is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to struggle for this video. Okay, so it's flush, still moves fine. Okay, so what I now need to do is make a Z bend on this. Okay, if you've never done a Z bend, I'll show you how to do that. It's quite easy. Pair of pliers, in like that, and bend it at 90 degrees. Okay, so you can see I've got a 90 degree bend there. Okay, now I need to do another 90 degree bend, but I need to leave about 1 or 2 millimeter gap. So put that on there. Now bend it at 90 degrees. Okay, now bend it at 90 degrees. That's not quite a proper Z bend, but now bend it again at 90 degrees. There you go. There's my Z bend. Okay. So now I've done my Z bend, I know I need to make a 50 mil bend in that with a centimetre down gap. Okay. Easiest thing to do here is line it up with that side and measure a centimetre, mark that. So felt tip pen again. Mark a centimetre down. Just about there. Yep, that's a centimetre. Okay. I now need to take the horn off and make a hole in that. I've got a little drill bit, just the right size. Okay, so drill your hole through there. Now put your control rod on there. Fit your snake, fit your control rod roughly about 90 degrees because that's where you want it to be. Okay, turn that round. Now it will line up with that mark that you put on the wing earlier. Now use your felt tip pen and mark on the wire where that is. Right, so now I know where I need to do my bend. Okay, take it off again, pair of pliers, on my marker, 90-degree bend. There we go. Now I know I need 50mm on that and chop the rest off. Okay, so I now have 50mm there, straight edge down and a Z bend to go onto my control arm. Okay, so I need to take the control arm off. I need to put the control rod in, move the wing, rotate the wing up, slide your rod in. Okay, now rotate your wing down. You might find it easier one way or the other. Except more, there we go. Turn it over. Control rod, control horn. Line the ring up. Push that on. There you go. So now you can see, obviously I only need to put screws in there, but it's not finished yet because you may notice that whereas the rod slides in between the gap, okay, that servo won't, so I need to cut a hole or a slot in the underside of there. Move the wing up, get your Stanley knife, and I can see where I need to cut, or I'll need a felt tip pen to mark it. I know I need approximately there to there. Right, if you can see that. Okay, take the control horn off again. And slice through it. This knife's not the best. Let me get a better blade, huh? Here we go. Right, and cut on that line. Cut on this line. So I've moved a wedge. Okay, put my control horn back on again. Okay, there you go. You see it now move. And that should be plenty for me. Okay, and do the same on the other side. Okay, I'll show you some more later. Okay, so I've now fitted the screws, retaining screws onto the servo arms of the servos, and I've lined them up, okay, and fitted my servo tester, and you can notice I've got plenty of movement there, and it doesn't foul up, and that's at 140% or thereabouts. That's the maximum the servo would ever go at. Okay, and if I go into auto, there we go, nice and free movement. So obviously on the radio control I can dial that down if I don't want that much, and everything's nice and smooth and working. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is cut a hole through here so that we can fit our receiver and battery, and that's it for a glider. Obviously I'm going to have to glue the tailplane in, which is a simple job. My favourite glue is when I'm using foam is Euro Pull or cockpit glue, like that one. Okay, so I've now glued the tailplane in place. Now I just need to cut a hole out for the battery. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is cut the groove out where the servo holes, and this is so that when I put the canopy on, these servos can rest it, the servo wires can rest in place. Now I need to make quite a big hole for my battery, leaving plenty of room, so I'm going to just gauge it about 5mm down there. I'm not too worried about being too accurate. Make a nice space for my battery to sit in. Just try and, if you can, leave as much material in as you can, because that's basically your strength, and by taking it out you're going to weaken it. So only take as much out as you need. You can always cut a bit more out later, remember. If you cut it too deep, and you can't put it back quite so easily. Okay, so my servos will rest in that gap, like that. Okay, connect to my receiver. Now, this is the canopy. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, it's rock hard. They've used super glue, so obviously they decided to put some hot glue, blob of super glue, and that will hold it. Unfortunately, that means that they won't come out. I've tried it, and it's, you can see it there, it's broken, so I'll have to glue that. Okay. Make that a bit wider as well, because I want to put my receiver in that side and my battery in that bit, so just do that as well. I just need to get my receiver in there. May put magnets in, or I may just use a rubber band on there, we'll see. Alright, I'm going to clean up and find the receiver and I'll show you that later. Okay, so I'll put the radio controls in the model now. Okay, and as you can see I've now got up and down, plenty of movement there, probably won't need all that. I can put rates on, just use a small amount, we'll see when we go flying, and that'll give me my bank in turn. Right. So I've got plenty of movement there. I'll put them on rates, there you go, small amount of movement, small amount of up and down. Nice and simple conversion, nothing complicated about that one, and it works. Okay, I'm just holding the canopy on with a rubber band at the moment, and I've just used a small FrySky receiver. Okay, I'm using a single cell LiPo battery there. You can use a 2-cell LiPo battery, but you'll need to use a BEC. Most of the guys that go flying will tell you that LiPos are not very good. If you have a crash, it's going to set on fire, and they would use a NiCad battery for that. The better on crashes, but I guess there's nothing stopping you making two pieces of 1/16 ply that can sandwich that. So piece of ply on the bottom, piece of ply on top, rubber band around that would protect it then, and it wouldn't weigh that much either if you was concerned about it. But as I say, it's packed with a lot of foam, and you're going to be hard pressed to damage that. So you'd have to come in really hard, and even then I don't think you're going to damage that battery in there, because you're not going that fast as a glider. Anyway, there it is. Conversion complete. Cheers.